Good evening. I'd like to bring the December meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors to order. Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Eckert? Here. Mrs. Floyd?
Here.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mrs. DiBattista?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Phelps?
Here.
Mrs. Krajewski?
Here.
Mr. Razzie?
Here.
Mrs. Hauger?
Here. Ms. Krajewski, may we have the invocation, please?
Heavenly Father, please hear our prayer. Bless all schools, colleges, and especially the Interboro School District, and grant to this board in their deliberations this evening the spirit of wisdom, truth, and knowledge. What is undertaken always be done in charity and in peace, and what we do might be for the benefit of others. All this we ask in your name, amen. Before we go to the Pledge of Allegiance, we'd like to pause for a moment of silence in remembrance of Kathleen Kane, employee of the Interboro District, who passed away suddenly on December 13th. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States. Next, we'll move on to our reports from our student representatives, Matthew Cleaver and Abby Marola.
At Glenolden School on Friday, November 7th, our middle school students enjoyed the annual fall dance. Student Council did a great job providing music and food for the students. On Tuesday, November 11th, we held the World War II exhibit in the library. The 7th grade students from neighboring schools came to view the memorabilia. Lastly, November 21st was our Community Service Day. This is a day when all the students try to make someone's day a little brighter. The middle school students made turkey, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, and pies for the local shelter. Quilts, peanut butter, and jelly sandwiches were made for the homeless, along with greeting cards. Student Council also held a peanut butter and jelly drive, which was a great success.
At the kindergarten, the T1 class hosted a Veterans Day celebration. The students served as color guard for the ceremony. Veterans and active servicemen were recognized during the ceremony. Light refreshments were provided for the veterans and their families. The students at the kindergarten also collected cans, food, to be donated to St. James Episcopal Church in Prospect Park for distribution in the community. The kindergarten also hosted the Scholastic Book Fair at the Kindergarten Academy in the school library. Thank you to the parents volunteers who were on hand to help the children select books and fill orders.
At Norwood School, Mrs. Bakey held the annual Title I Information and Parents meeting on November 6th. We had approximately 20 parents attend. All had a great time. On November 14th, we held our annual 8th grade versus faculty football game. The faculty won 63-48. On November 20th, our elementary students were treated to the annual dance-a-thon. It was held in the gym. It was a great kickoff to the holiday season.
Prospect Park School saw the end of the first trimester for the elementary grades and report cards were issued. We had a successful turnout of parents attending conferences. Also, the Prospect Park Student Council organized a hugely successful canned food drive for Loaves and Fishes. While on fall break, many of the Student Council members met our teachers at the Prospect Hill Baptist Church to help unload over 1,000 cans brought in by our students.
At Tinicum School, we had a very successful report card conference turnout. Thank you to all who came to support your children. If you were unable to make a conference, contact the school to make an appointment. From December 1st to the 5th, we held the annual Santa's Secret Workshop. Thank you to Mrs. Miller from Home and School, who did a fantastic job coordinating the event. Thank you to all of our parents, volunteers, and little middle school elves that helped wrap all the wonderful gifts that were purchased. Our 8th grade parents and students organized the annual Breakfast with Santa, as well as the vendor fair on December 6th. Parents led games, face painting, a cookie walk, as well as Breakfast with Santa, and all proceeds will benefit the 8th grade.
At the high school, we hosted the Home and School Craft Fair on November 8th. A big thank you to our Home and School volunteers for another great Christmas craft fair. Thank you for everything you do for our students. The marching band performed the Media Veteran Day Parade on November 11th. Before boarding the bus, individual band members shared what performing in the Veterans Day Parade meant to them. Each student said that it was an honor to perform for those who had sacrificed in order to make our country great. The weather was perfect, the band sounded great, and many students took the opportunity to walk up to a veteran, introduce themselves, and say thank you. IHS was represented by 8 students at this year's Student Council Conference at Altoona High School on November 6th, 7th, and 8th. 2 students, Shannon Butler and Elena McGrath, presented a workshop there. And a congratulations to Matthew Dwyer for receiving the 2014 Scholar Athlete Award from the PIAA Officials Annual Banquet. That concludes our report.
Thank you. We'll move to the public comment section. Ms. Krajewski?
Yes, Colleen Hendrick.
Hi, Colleen Hendrick, 924 9th Avenue, Prospect Park, PA. Good evening. I'm here to speak on behalf of the neglect of contracts for the Interboro education community. I understand there has been some improvement towards negotiating a contract, yet there is still an absence of a secure and satisfying contract. I thank those of you who are genuinely trying to advance this process. However, it is unacceptable that these educators are still not presented with what they rightfully should have. The issue of raising taxes is one that is quite delicate. While it is not necessarily a likable opinion for taxes to be raised for negotiation of a better contract and funding of education, it is an option that seems to be a solution. Many believe the teachers are asking for too much and that the raising of taxes is absurd, but indeed that is a complete misconception. The educators of the Interboro community have a degree that they diligently studied at least 4, usually more years for. Now, from what I'm told in school, by going to college, not only is the end reward a solid education, but also the promise of a secure job. The classrooms in Interboro foster the notion that education after high school can only bring success. The reward from a solid education for these educators is not a solid, secure job, but one without negotiation of a pay raise or health benefits. This is a complete contradiction to what the American school system sets forth as goals for aspiring students. By not giving these educators a solid contract, it is severely damaging the goal towards a more educated and successful community. The example is set forth that an individual will not be rewarded through education, but instead mistreated. Raising taxes towards a better contract will not only benefit the teachers, but the community. Through further education, success will be solidified, and this is an example that you as a school board must act on to further advance and bring a more educated community. Furthermore, I must address the neglection of a contract not only affects the educators, but their families as well. I think many of us forget, students as well, that our educators go home every day to a family. I know just about every one of my teachers' children's names, their ages, and their interests. Not only are these teachers fighting for a contract and better work conditions, but they are fighting for their families as well. Every night, these educators go home to their children. Without the advancement of a contract for their parent, these children's health benefits and themselves could be affected. Not only this, without the negotiation of a pay raise, these children could be severely affected in many different ways in terms of care and funding. Our educators have a bachelor's degree in a subject that took much time to attain, yet they are denied a contract not only to support themselves, but their family. Another example would be the younger teachers. These teachers have only started at Interboro or have only been there for a couple of years, and therefore started a much lower salary than their coworkers with more seniority. Without a contract, there is no negotiation of a pay raise. Without this, the prospect of starting a family is greatly diminished for these younger teachers. Due to these unfair work conditions, many of these teachers are searching elsewhere for jobs. And the Interboro community is losing many valuable staff members. Being so young is quite disheartening to have a job with unfair work conditions and sets forth the idea that with an education there is no success. Although you as a school board have a great deal in education and setting forth rules and such, I understand that it is also a political matter that is bigger than any of us can imagine. However, an advancement towards a fair contract is not negotiable. Our community is in desperate need of a contract, and there must be an effort put forth towards one. The pressure towards negotiation will not stop, and the community is ready. There's not much more time that can be wasted, and a new year is about to begin. In order for this change to occur, it must start with you as a school board. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. May we move on to the minutes? Motion 5, please.
Motion that the following minutes of the regular meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors held on November 19, 2014 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Motion 5.2, please.
Motion that the following minutes of the reorganization meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors held on December 1, 2014 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Mrs. Serini.
Thank you, Mrs. Hogger. It's been a fairly quiet month. Our office has provided consultative services on student issues. There have been some policy questions, and we've also provided consultation on discipline issues.
Thank you. We'll move on to motion 7.1, please.
Motion that the attached treasurer's report for the month ending November 30, 2014 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Ms. Krajewski?
Motion that fund disbursements in the amount of $3,912,501.84 be approved.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Ms. Krajewski?
Motion that the attached budget transfers for the fiscal year 2014-2015 be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Ms. Krajewski, do we have any correspondence this evening?
Yes, Mrs. Hogger, I have one letter to read. Dear Interboro School Board members, we would like to thank several members of the Glen Olden staff and the students for a job well done. Mr. Bill Gardner did a great job getting his students and other students in the Glen Olden School to write letters that were sent to our soldiers in Afghanistan. They also filled boxes of treats for the soldiers. Mrs. Rhodes had her second graders write and participate in this event. We know how much the soldiers will appreciate each and every letter and treat. We would also like to thank Principal Lambert for allowing the students to make the holidays special for our soldiers. Glen Olden School will always have a special place in our hearts. We would like to wish the Interboro School Board and the staff and students of Glen Olden a very happy holiday. Sincerely, Dottie and Mark Fertig.
Thank you. We'll move on to committee reports, of which there are none. We reorganized this month, and traditionally we do not have committee reports, so we'll have them beginning again next month, which takes us then to motion 10 for personnel. Mrs. Krajewski?
Motion that the following personnel actions be approved as listed, beginning on page 2, ending on page 4.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Motion 11, please.
Motion that the following items from the Office of Curriculum and Instruction be approved as listed on page 4.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Motion 12, please.
Motion that the following items from the Office of Pupil Services and Special Education be approved as listed on page 5.
Second.
Motion 12 has been moved and seconded. Are there questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Motion 13, please.
Motion that the following items from the Office of Technology be approved as listed on page 5.
Second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Motion 14, please.
Motion that the following items from the Office of Finance be approved as listed on page 5.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments from board members? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Motion 15, please.
Motion that the Board of School Directors approve the attached PA REAP Technology Services Agreement with NSAN, Inc. for January 1, 2015 through December 31, 2015 in the amount of $999.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Is there any old business that any of the members would like to bring before the board? New business, Mrs. Riley?
Thank you, Mrs. Hogger. I was very saddened to hear about the passing of Kathy Kane, who was a bus monitor here in the Interboro School District. I got to know Kathy as a parent, and she was very devoted to her family. She also cared greatly about the students that she worked with on a daily basis, and our thoughts go out to her family during this difficult time. This month, I was able to attend the winter concerts throughout the district. I would like to recognize all of the hard work of our students that participate in our band and choral programs, and especially as they prepare for these concerts. They were excellent. I would also like to thank our choral and band directors for all of their hard work with these students. And on behalf of the administrative team, I would like to wish everyone a happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Riley. Any comments or announcements from board members?
Comment?
Mrs. Floyd?
Yes, I would also like to state that the concerts are just fantastic. I've been going to them for years, and it's just amazing, especially when you go to the elementary level, middle school, and then the high school, and you see how the students progress in their talent, and it's just wonderful. And I hope in the future anything that should come up that parents take advantage, or people in the community take advantage of coming in and seeing magic before your eyes. It's just wonderful. And the snowball dance went off without a hitch, and the kids were well behaved, and I enjoyed being there and observing. The other thing is I'd like to comment, Colleen Hendrick, who spoke. You did a very good job. You spoke very well, and I appreciate your thoughts that you expressed. And one of the things you did state, and I mentioned last month, was that when it comes to taxes, we are limited by the state as to how much we could raise the taxes. So it's not like, just give this or give that, or, we have to budget within that index. And therefore, if we don't watch our money, if we don't carefully, balance things out, and we come up short, we're going to end up having to look at programs that aren't state mandated. So I'm not saying that's what we're doing. I'm just saying that we have to be cautious. And it's not just the sky's the limit, raise the taxes as high as you want. We're restricted by the state. Not to mention the taxpayers, the community members would not be happy if they went up too high. So with that said, I hope you have a better understanding. And again, the funding that I talked about last month in my legislative report, we're not getting the funding that we should be getting. Now with the new governor and new legislators, let's see what they're going to do and if their campaign promises come through, because that's where the districts, not just Interboro, but all the districts, will be helped out if we got the funding that we should be getting. So thank you again for your comments. I also would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, however you celebrate it, and hopefully we'll have a good, productive New Year. Thank you.
Any other board members?
Comment?
Mr. Harris?
Yes, I also would like to thank the administrators, parents, and other school board members that chaperoned the snowball dance and made it a great success. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else? On behalf of the entire school board, I'd like to send our wishes to the community for a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, a prosperous New Year. We appreciate the support that we receive from the community. We appreciate all of the efforts of our students, of our teachers, of our staff in producing such wonderful children, and we thank you. Any other comments? I'll finish with on Monday, January 12th, 2015, a Finance Committee meeting with the GBO meeting immediately following will be held at 6:00 p.m. in the boardroom of the Administration Building. This is a change. We usually hold the meeting on the first Monday, but since it's so early in the month, we pushed it back to January 2nd, and then we'll revert back to the first Monday. The next work session of the Interboro Board of School Directors will be convened in the boardroom of the Administration Building on Monday, January 19th, 2015 at 6:30 p.m. And the next regular monthly public meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors will be convened in the auditorium of Interboro High School on Wednesday, January 21st, 2015 at 7:00 p.m. Good evening. Thank you.